Okay, 5th grade, in order for us to make our mandala, the first thing we need to do on our square one paper is to write our first name and our last name. You can also fill out grade 5 and your teacher's last name. The next thing you need to do is, with a pencil, locate the center of this square. The accurate way to do that is to take a ruler and to measure from corner to corner, and then to draw a little straight line, or you can make a long straight line. I am drawing lightly with my pencil because I probably will erase. I might switch to the other corner now, going both directions with my pencil. Where these two diagonal lines intersect will be the center of my square. And that is when we get to this object here, our compass for drawing circles. You could draw a small circle with this tool. You could trace, or with the little white circle drawing tool, you could put your pencil in one of these small holes and drive it around in a circle. But the third choice is to put this metal rivet over the spot where you want the center of your circle. Then you hold the white piece still and you put your pencil in any of these holes, and then you can drive this circle drawing tool all the way around. Now here we have the center of our circle, and I want at least 3, if not 4, circles in your mandala. These are concentric circles. That means one inside of another. So I will start with my little metal eyelet right over the center intersection there, and then I will start in close with a small circle. These have numbers and labels, and you could be really precise with this tool if you wanted to. I'm going to start with a circle there, and I'm being very careful not to move the white ring, or especially this metal rivet. I want to hold that very still while I move on to my next size out. So I want my next circle about here. So I'm going to choose one of these spots and drive a second circle. And again, I didn't move my white circle. Now, third opportunity, I'm going to go wide on this one. I'm going to go out to here, the edge of the paper almost. I had to reach under my arm. All right. Now I have 1, 2, 3 rings. With our square one project, the most important details should be away from the edge of the paper, so that when we reproduce them, they don't accidentally crop out some of your design. I'm still going to design it out to the edges, but my most interesting portions ought to be at least 1 inch in. Now before I go further, I will find out the center of my mark here is at 4 1/4 inch. So I'm going to mark 4 1/4 inches here, and then I will line up my ruler from that mark to the center. This way I can have a vertical line to guide me, and I want a horizontal line as well. So again, I'm going to check, and my ruler tells me 4 1/4 to the center of my square. It should have been the same, and it was. So I will draw one more line, lining up from this mark to the center, so that I have a good horizontal line. Now my design has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 places to measure, and I can start from the inside of my mandala outward with decorating. Now the shapes are really up to you, but whatever you do in one spot, you need to do it in all 8 spots. For example, I think it would look neat to have a little loop. And so I can do that now on each of my petals of the mandala, each of my spokes of the wheel. Let's see here. And I can just keep on going. You, of course, have the freedom to decide what you will put in your mandala. So I've got a good start there, and I can clean things up with my eraser. And I'm just going to continue to develop my design here. I want each shape to be approximately the same size. The more accurately you make your shapes, the better your design will look when it's finished. I have just a couple of tips about designing your mandala, and one is to think about squares, incorporating squares in with your circle design. And so one way to do that is to take our lines that intersect circles and make those into corners for our squares. Now, what I mean is I've got an intersection here, and I'll skip this one and go to this line here. Now I could have a square. I'm just going to draw it lightly until I've decided that I want to keep this as a part of my design. But again, I take this point, skip one, and here, because we know squares have 4 sides. One thing I like about the square in my mandala design is that this square one project has a flat top and bottom, and now I also have a peak that is going the opposite direction, or in other words 45 degrees in a different direction. And I can take the same idea and put one more square in my design that goes vertical and horizontal, whereas this is a diagonal line. My next design, my next square will be going in a vertical and horizontal pattern. And now I'm ready to add the second piece. Besides squares, another piece to making a successful mandala is that you can add flower petal shapes, and it will grow from the middle and make some really nice designs if you think of it like a flower. And for this, I just have to decide where to put a petal. I already have these round shapes, and they're helping me think about it like a flower. Now I can maybe take where this ends here, I'm going to make a rounded curved line that comes up to my bisection there. And I'm going to keep on doing that all the way around my shape. I'm feeling pretty good about my overall design, I'm going to erase a few of the pencil lines that I don't want to see, and then I'll be ready to trace over it with a Sharpie. We do have lots of different colors of Sharpie, so you might decide not to use black. I've always been a fan of the color orange, so I'll be using orange, I think, to start out with my line work here. Work on one element of your mandala at a time, going around and making sure you've covered that one element of your design before you move to the next. So I'm doing these little beads in the corner before I move on to something else. And we're just going to use Sharpies for lines. We are not going to color in with our Sharpies. We can use Crayola markers, crayons, oil pastels maybe, possibly even colored pencils. Although the colored pencils don't show up as brightly as we'd like on our Square One reproductions when you order goods that have your design on them. So again, I'm going around, and every part of my design that is this little square on all of those, I'm going to hit those with my orange marker before I change. Hey, 5th grade. I am about to start coloring my mandala. I'm going to use colored pencils, but I want the colors nice and bold. I've already done my Sharpie work, and I'll just do this and give you updates. So now here I am, after just a few minutes coloring. I've picked some colors that I think would look good, so I went with some blues and purples as my main color, and a little bit of orange and maybe an accent color of yellow on my mandala. I've been paying attention especially to coloring with a direction in mind, so I'm trying to make all my lines kind of point in a direction. You can see that I'm coloring sort of dark in the corners and getting lighter in the middle of the shape. We're going around the edge of the shape darker and then fading a little bit. We do want nice bright colors, but if you take the care to color in your shapes, I think we'll have a really nice end result. Just cruising along on my coloring project for my mandala. Trying to do a careful job, but I know I want some bright color and I want some variety. I think I will leave a few spots white, just so we can see the white of the paper, but not most places. So here's my mandala. I think I'm pretty close to finished now. You can see some of the details for my shading. I changed values. Made one real oops here. I was trying to go dark to light, light to dark, and then I kind of messed that up, but I try to cover it up, but it's not too noticeable overall. So I think that's a pretty good design. Good luck with yours.